everybody. You've reached another edition of the NRW Checkpoint. I'm your man, WebsterStyle. No bow tie today. It's a holiday. We chilling, we relaxing. As always, I am joined by my man, Brian Sapph. Brian, how are you today, sir?
I am good. Just enjoying what's the day? Labor Day?
Yep,
Yeah.
Labor Day. I know they all run together, especially this time of year, because we got Labor Day,
Yep.
then Veterans Day, then Indigenous Peoples Day, and then Thanksgiving. A lot of holidays coming up very, very quickly.
Right. I'm ready though.
But you know what doesn't stop because of the holiday? Games.
Right.
Right. So let's talk about some of the more prominent releases this week
Okay.
in gaming. First up, we have Biomutant, and this is actually the next gen version or current gen version of this
Right.
game. It came out last year for the Xbox One, PS4. These are I'm still going to say next gen upgrades for this one, and it comes out tomorrow, September 6th. But surprisingly, it's only $39.99 for PS5 version or Xbox Series. Now, Xbox version doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay.
But the fact that there isn't a premium slapped on this PS5 version is really surprising to me.
This is the same game, but it's just going to like the newer consoles, right?
Yes.
That sounds about right. And then
but you know that Sony tax.
Yeah, I was about to say they've been getting in trouble a lot, so I'm pretty sure they pulling back on how they taxing these days.
Right. And actually, we're going to see that with the next game as well. That tax isn't there, which actually surprised me as well. But with this one, it's an action game developed by Experiment 101 and published by THQ Nordic. It's an action role-playing game set in an open world environment, and you play it from the third-person perspective, where you take control of a mammalian warrior in a world filled with mutated animals. Hence the whole, Biomutant name. Players first customize their character, including length, body shape, and thickness, fur, fangs, and many other attributes that can be tweaked and all have a direct impact on the statistics of the playable character during gameplay. So a thicker character is going to be heavier or slower. All these things are going to affect how you play, how you move, and also how you take damage.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty dope.
Yeah,
customization, I heard some like that is are we watching trailer for that?
We are not. I didn't pick that one out because it is a game that has been out already.
Right.
So try to get newer games or things that we haven't seen for a long time. In the case of one of the other games we're going to talk about, because there's a game I've never heard of. Once we get to it, I'm pretty sure you probably never heard of it either.
Yeah.
So, but that was it for Biomutant. Next up, we have a game. Now, Brian, I know you are a big fan of Pokemon, correct?
Yeah, I guess.
Pokemon. Well, this is a game that I've heard about maybe for the past year or so, and it's I don't think there's anything such as a Pokemon killer, but this is very much in the same vein as Pokemon. I've heard about this. It's been what is it called? Preview for like the past year or so. I forget what it's called. When the game's like in preview but not final, you can still buy it and play it. But this game is called Temtem, and it's released for the PS5, Xbox SX, Switch, and PC, and it's dropping on September 6th for the price of $44.99.
$44.99.
Yes.
Get yours today.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. This is described as an MMO developed by Crema and published by Humble Games. Okay. So we've been seeing Humble Games a lot lately, especially last week or week before with the Midnight Fight Express that came out. With Temtem, it's a massively multiplayer creature collection and adventure. Sounds familiar?
Yeah, quite.
Right, where players explore the islands of the airborne archipelago, completing quests and taming strange creatures known as Temtem. Yeah, this definitely was inspired by Pokemon, but that's what the description.
Yes, we have another Pokemon child on here. That's great, though. Let's see. Temtem. I've heard about it. Wait, we watched the trailers?
Yes, we are watching trailer for Temtem.
Okay, cool. I think, did we discuss something similar maybe a week or two ago?
That's not Temtem. It was more, I forget the name of it. It's like I forget. You know what? I actually downloaded it because it ended up being on Game Pass. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of the game right now, but that was more of a Pinkman style game that we were talking about.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay. Yeah, Temtem sounds cool. I wonder how close of or how different. That's gonna be the key with games like this.
Yeah.
When it comes to, anything dealing with collecting monsters and battling and stuff like that, like Pokemon pretty much started that archetype. So the differences are gonna be what's really gonna grab people and make them play the game. So I'm interested to see how it differs.
Yeah, me too. It'd be very interesting. I'm definitely looking at some of the reviews that are out for it. I'm curious to see what they have to say. Those that are a lot more experienced at the Pokemon sort of genre than I am. The
I mean,
experts,
it's
so to
the
speak.
same. This is it's really been catch monsters, get badges, find the legendary monsters, and then they put another one out and you do it
Right.
all over again.
Well, that's it for Temtem. Next one is Tomorrow Children Phoenix Edition. Now, this originally was a game that came out in 2017, but apparently it was like delisted or something after 6 months. I was looking it up. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's why I said earlier, it's a game that came out earlier, but it's probably one you never heard of based on what I was doing or what I was finding out in the research. But this is a simulation originally released in 2017. It comes from developer publisher Q Games. So this game takes place within an alternate future following a failed experiment to unite the minds of all humanity. The return of civilization now lies in the hands of projection clones, new life forms capable of venturing deep into the void in search of preserved human survivors. Now, when I was reading up on this one, they said that there was some Minecrafty sort of elements there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the trailer actually tells us about the game.
Me too, because that sounds
Yeah,
interesting.
and I'm sorry, this is just for PlayStation. So it's a PlayStation exclusive on PS4 and PS5.
Okay.
And I
Yeah, I
couldn't
want to
find
see
a
what that's
price
about.
on it though. It was weird. Everywhere I looked, it just said pre-order. And I'm like, considering it's coming out tomorrow, you would think there would be a price listed for it. But even on the
Right.
PlayStation store, there was no price listed for it. So I found that kind of weird.
Oh, they might be pushing it back then.
Maybe,
We'll
but
see.
it's still listed as a 6. Actually, no, it pushed me to the Japanese PlayStation store, if I remember correctly. It didn't even
Okay.
push me to the American one. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
Wonder what
right now,
that's about.
this is one. The next one is a game that I love the name. Name is Jack Move. Without even knowing anything about the game, like that's just a cool name. I mean,
It
that could
is.
be, so many different types of things.
Right.
So this is coming out for the PC on September 8th, but then it's
Okay.
coming out for consoles, specifically PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on September 20th. So we'll be seeing this one again. So we won't talk as much about it then.
Right.
But this is a JRPG
Mhm.
from developer So Romantic, publisher Hypertrain Digital. It's a JRPG that features a unique blend of gritty cyberpunk storytelling.
Mhm.
Already had me right there.
Yeah.
Turn-based battles had me right there.
Okay.
And beautiful modern pixel art. All right, you checked all the boxes as far as I'm concerned.
And are we watching a trailer for this?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Because I'm interested as well.
Yeah,
I like these RPGs now.
yeah, exactly. So you take on the role of Noah, a vigilante hacker, already a plus hacker, who is thrust into a world of murder, kidnapping, and dark research after his father goes missing. This
Okay.
sounds like a really fun story to get into in a
It
JRPG
does.
sort of format.
It does. It almost sounds like Watch Dogs 2 a little bit.
Okay.
Just based on the hacker thing, and like, the more you get into the game, you find out that the world that you're in is a little corrupt. It's typical, but it was a good game. So I'm wondering if this is similar in any way.
Yeah, I'm wondering too, especially in an RPG sort of format. And I didn't
Right.
find a price on this one either. Even Steam didn't have a price listed, but I assume this is going to be based on what I saw, probably a $50 game
I
at the
would
most.
that sounds safe.
Yeah, I don't foresee this being more than $50, but don't hold me to that because
It
I don't
could
know.
be now. You know how PlayStation does.
Well, it's PlayStation 4.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
for Xbox One and Switch. That's on September 20th, but it's coming out on the PC on the 8th.
Okay, so
So
they don't have any like the newer console
right. Yep.
releases. Okay.
No. And
All right,
especially
yeah.
looking at the trailer, it doesn't really need newer consoles for this one.
Okay. All right. And it's coming to Switch at the same time as everybody else, so
Yes.
I can see $50.
Yeah. Exactly. Next up, we have Steelrising, and this is coming out for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on September 8th for the price of $49.99. Again, we're not seeing that next gen tax that we've been seeing. And this is described as an action RPG. It comes from developer Spider Studios and publisher Nikon. So Paris, 1789. The French Revolution has been suppressed with bloodshed by Louis XVI and his merciless mechanical army. Aegis, a mysterious automaton masterpiece, must confront the king's army alone to save history in this challenging action RPG. So when I was reading up on this one, I heard Bloodborne, Demon Souls. So is that sort of action RPG sort of game. So something we're going to be seeing a lot of, I assume, in the next coming years, especially considering Elden Ring was so big this year.
Right.
That's funny.
Sorry. Oh yeah, I see it's still rising. Okay. Yeah. I'm interested.
Yeah. So we're definitely looking.
Timepiece games are always kind of cool to me.
Yeah, just the whole premise alone. Louis XVI has a mechanical army, and you're an automaton. You have to fight all of them. That right there, it's. I like the historical setting, but it's like an alternate future. It's like You ever seen Doctor Who?
Loosely. I've seen like an episode or two.
Okay,
I know. I'm familiar with the franchise though.
Okay, I forget what season. I think it was like David Tennant's second season. So forgive me if I season, but there's a classic episode from that run called the was it the girl in the mirror, the girl in the fireplace, where you like go back and save Marie Antoinette from these like clockwork automaton sort of thing. And that's what I think of, that 16th century sort of automaton mechanical warriors. That's what popped into my head automatically.
That makes sense. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a lot more complex than that, but that's kind of what I pictured.
Got you.
All right. Now for the back end of our list, we get to not even arguably the two high profile games that are coming out this week, who
definitely
really don't need much of an introduction. The first one, NBA 2K23.
Yes, the microtransaction king.
Right, and that's for everything, all PlayStations, all Xboxes, all supported PlayStations, all supported Xboxes, Switch and PC, and that will range you anywhere from $59.99 to $149.99.
Yep, sounds about right to me.
Yeah. No, Brian, let me ask you a question.
What's up?
How many special editions, like collector's editions of games, have you purchased ever?
One. I've got a Kingdom Hearts special edition. I think it was either for 2 or 3. One of the releases in the Kingdom Hearts franchise, I did like spring for like the special edition with the whole collector's thing and all this other stuff. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. See, I figured it probably wasn't a lot, and I also figured it's probably a physical sort of thing as well.
Right.
I've purchased 2. I don't even consider the Halo 2 legendary, whatever it was, because it was the one in the steel book, and that's like all you really got with it.
Right.
But I bought the Robotech Battle Cry for the Xbox, the original Xbox Collector's Edition, because it came with a Skull One t-shirt, dog tags,
stuff,
and it was like something else including the game. And I think I maybe paid $80 for it at the time.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. $149.99 for the championship edition of 2K23, and you don't get anything physical.
Nothing.
Right. Okay.
Nah.
But if you don't know what we're talking about, NBA 2K23 is the premier and only NBA basketball simulation developed by Visual Concepts, who've been developing this game for 24 years now. Is crazy to say. Actually, probably a bit longer than that now, depending on how long it took the first one to get developed. And published by 2K Games. And my notes are, do we really need an explanation for this game?
We don't. And you know what? Because you just said like, oh, it probably took them a while to develop the first one. And they've been putting out a game every year since. ought to tell you that they're not doing anything different to this game. They literally just, you know what I'm saying, swapping some players around, which could be an update.
Well, no, they are doing different things for the microtransactions.
Yeah, you're right. A pair of new Jordans comes out, they put those in the game.
Right.
You're right.
And I believe this year the WNBA component is a bit more robust than it has been in the past few years. So I will give them that. They've definitely, from what I've read, I haven't played it obviously. It has been beefed up, and you can do a lot more with the WNBA side of things as well. So it is definitely something that has been increased and enhanced over the years. And I don't even remember how long the WNBA portion has been in the game, because the last one
like 3 years, I think.
How many?
Like 3 years, I believe.
Okay, that's why, because the last game I purchased, I think it was 2K18. That's when they had for like $3 that fire sale they had digitally a couple years ago. So that would make sense. That would be before they put in the WNBA portion of it. I think right there though, if you're a basketball fan, I have to put that caveat in. At $59.99, I think that's a good value for a basketball fan to get a complete robust basketball, which this is the thing 2K is, but then you also get that on the WNBA side as well. So it's almost like you're getting 2 games in one. Right. Now, are you getting an iteration from year to year, those big advancements? Not really, at least as far as gameplay is concerned. But the fact is you're literally getting 2 leagues, regardless of how much you like the WNBA or not. That's a whole nother discussion.
Right.
You're still getting 2 sports leagues playing a similar game with essentially twice the number of players that you would get in a regular game, as well as that creative player and the street ball stuff or whatever, if that's still there. Like that's, you do get a robust game for the base price. Now the question is, you know, is it worth more than that base price? And that's really where I always come back to, like, it's a lot of money for digital assets.
Yeah, and you know, like I give NBA a lot of shit for that, you know, having things in the game that don't necessarily pertain much to basketball, and I give them, you know, this shit for that. But on the flip side, for somebody who is like a basketball fan or whatever, I see why people like are so invested in this game. A lot of people, they only play sports games on their consoles or whatever, especially 2K. That's the only basketball game you could play. So it's kind of like, if you're a basketball fan, because I spend money on ridiculous shit that don't necessarily serve me. So if I'm a basketball fan, I got a bunch of Jordans and jerseys and stuff like that. Of course, I'm not going to care about dumping $100 into a basketball game so I could like pretend to be LeBron for a couple matches or whatever the case might be. So I get it, but I just feel like they're taking advantage. They're taking advantage of people's fandom.
I agree. This is
it don't have to be that expensive.
Right, exactly. And this is where I'm going with that. With 2K, I bought it every year for the Dreamcast. Dreamcast was defunct. I bought it at least the first 2 years on my 360. I think. I bought it on my 360 because I still was playing the Dreamcast version like 2K3 or whatever it is, because even though it was on Xbox, and I had an Xbox.
Right.
I felt like I was getting my money's worth. And all the extra stuff was stuff like you unlocked in the game. It wasn't microtransactions. And the thing is, I think a lot of that stuff that is microtransaction-y now are things that you would naturally unlock in the game. And I think it made it more fun.
I can see that.
I think one of these days, I think we should do a separate show talking about kind of the state of games, especially with how microtransactions and how live service being at the forefront of gaming now is really deteriorating the quality of gaming in general, and especially with a lot of news that's come out the last couple months. I mean, even more recently, like the stuff with Halo Infinite. I ain't even talking about that because that pissed me off. But we talk about, you know, Grants and Reasonable and how those issues, like there are a lot of things, and that's very indicative of the sort of gaming, of how gaming is really operating now, as far as that's concerned. But we should definitely talk about it on a separate, like a NRW Checkpoint Extra Live or something like that.
Yeah.
Could you up write that down?
Yeah, because things have changed a lot, and it's not necessarily for the worst. I just feel like the gaming industry as a whole is still kind of finding their footing with it, because them live service games, they kicking ass, but then at the same time, you have some developers and publishers or whatever who have learned how to marry like RPGs with the live service concepts to it, and then some people are like, we just do RPGs, like, or we just do sports games. So yeah, another conversation for another episode. But what I will say about 2K before we move on to the next game, I did notice that they put J. Cole in this game. They put J. Cole in this game.
Really?
Yes. And he also has like an alternative cover. I don't know if it'll cost extra. It probably will anytime they do any alternative things like that. Because Jordan has a cover for this one, right? Like, it's like 23 stuff like that. We talked about that, right?
Right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, because we did the reaction to it.
Yeah. So along with that, J. Cole has his own cover and he's also in the game. I like stuff like that. Like when they do things like that, because especially as a hip hop fan, I'm a little enticed to spend the money, but we'll see, just because it's still NBA.
Okay, look, we got J. Cole. Let's get a Master P cover. He was actually in the NBA, okay?
Yeah, right. Well, now I don't know. This could be a thing. J. Cole could make his way into the NBA because he's playing up in Canada right now, in the Canadian League. So we'll see. But I just thought that was cool, just because we talk about how much of the same this game always is every year when it comes out. I like the differences when they do step out of their regular routine and start to add things that are different. I'm like, all right, I see that it's still at least trying. I like that.
Right. All right. Well, that's our take on NBA 2K23. And his next game is, without a doubt, the most exciting game that's coming out this week, at least as far as my household is concerned. Wait a minute. What? Hold on. What are you saying? What? What? You guys want to introduce your game? Callie Marie want to introduce their game. What's the game? Tell me your game. It's Splatoon 3.
Right.
Okay, if you have not been living, if you've been living under a rock,
yeah,
and you want a shooter, like realistically, the Switch is not known for shooters.
It's not.
If you want a shooter, you're going with Splatoon 3.
Yeah, on Switch, definitely.
Paintball game.
It's fun.
Choose between Inklings or Octolings. So these are the Squid sisters, Callie Marie. Don't ask me how I know. Just know.
I mean, you play the game.
Somebody does. And you choose either Inkling or Octolings. These are cephalopod based creatures. Sorry, marine science background. And you yield weapons that shoot color ink. And I was watching we're not watching a trailer because it's Splatoon 3. Come on.
Yeah, you know what's up with Splatoon.
We know what's up with Splatoon 3, but you are in this giant paintball course. And if you never played it, it's fun. It's a nice deterrent from or change from your standard third-person shooter, arena shooter. You know, especially look at things like Fortnite and all these other third-person shooters. It's a similar gameplay, but it's just a different experience. And the expansiveness of Splatoon 3 out of the box is ridiculous compared to Splatoon 2. Like
really,
this is the thing I'll say about Nintendo. And this kind of goes to what we talked about as far as NBA 2K and some of the other games. They offer an insane amount of value out of the box for games like this. Even looking at Mario Kart, whatever the newest one was. Like there's so many tracks out the box, and then they offer that the new expansion for like $25, and that's an insane number of tracks.
Right.
I think they're like 16 plus or whatever boards in Splatoon 3, if I remember correctly, because they did a direct on this a couple weeks ago that I watched for obvious reasons. But you know they're coming out with more stages in like 6 months to a year. Nintendo's been really good at prolonging their first party games and giving an insane value. Yes, I think the online service is a bit overpriced what they offer, and that's my opinion, at least with the extra part with the Genesis and whatnot. But they still give in an insane value for that $59.99 game. That is offline and all on the cartridge. No extra downloads if you don't want to, no online play if you don't want to. Like I give my kudos to Nintendo, and Splatoon 3 looks like another hit. And then the crazy thing about Splatoon is it is a game that has grown in popularity over the years, and it's really amazing to see it through the eyes of the lens of the fan in my house and to be introduced to all of this.
Right.
It's really quite amazing, because I would have never known what Splatoon was a couple years ago. And Splatoon 1 came out, what was the Wii U?
Yeah.
And then 2 came out, and I think that came out on the Wii U. I'm not sure, but I know it definitely came out on the Switch. So I think it was a remaster for the Switch. But now, if I am correct, Splatoon 3 is the first Splatoon game that is built for the Switch, like from the ground up.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting. Very interesting.
It is. Very. And I agree with you. It's always interesting, like watching the Splatoon fanfare, because I'm just like, wow, this game is really growing. And I feel like every time they put one out, like I don't know, it gets bigger, like new fans come in, it's the community grows. So I'm interested to see. I think this one might be the first one I like purchase and be like, yeah, I'm a Splatooner. Let's play. So I'm excited for that, actually.
It is an amazing fan community online for this game. And it's just, it's really cool, because it's something outside of the game, but it's so Japanese, and I like that, because you get the music involved and the anime and all that other stuff. It's so cool. And also, it's a game, especially seeing what I see online, that is very much, it's not targeting girls, but it's a game that girls have really gravitated to. Seeing online, and that's what I really like. And again, we all have female gamers, in our lives, but to see a property that is very much like the cosplay, the music videos, it's women, females, little girls have very much made this their game, and that is something that I have not really seen to that extent. Not saying there aren't guys that like this game, because there are plenty of guys, plenty of males, and whatever you identify as, I'll put it that way. But in this case, that's so cool to me and so amazing to me, that how it's just latched on by that one demographic to such a large percentage, at least what I see online in the community in general.
And what's crazy, because I agree with you, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Nintendo itself has just been really, really slow with like trying to integrate like party chats and like voice things over internet service or whatever. So the women, the girls and stuff, they can get on there and like play the game. They don't have to hear no dumbass boy like cussing them out because they don't know how to shoot a weapon or something. Like it's one of those games where it's like you could pick it up, play with people online, but don't have to deal with the toxicity that comes along with online gameplay. So yeah, it like endears you to the game, because think about it, every game that has option where you could turn the voice chat off, like those games tend to do well. People, I don't like when I solo queue in these multiplayer games, I don't talk to the other people on my team unless I'm playing with people I know, or I'm just in the mood to like, try to be a team player. I'm like, no, I know what I'm supposed to do with my character, so I don't need to discuss it with everybody else. And I stick with those games for a long time. So I think Splatoon is one of those ones where it's like you can play it and don't have to worry about the person on the other end talking shit, and you can just have a good time. And then on top of that, I really like that Nintendo, they develop games like that and they give them a chance. It's like Splatoon could have been done after the first one, honestly, but
it really could have been.
Yeah, but Nintendo, they're so like, I don't know. They have a thing with them. You know how Netflix cancels a show after one season if it's
Right.
not doing good? Nintendo doesn't do that. They're like, we're gonna give you three sequels to your game. And if the collection is not picking up, then we'll just put it in the archives and move on to something else. Nintendo really, they care for their games like that.
I never thought about that. You're absolutely right. Because I think even like, what is it? We talked about Xenosaga or whatever.
Xenoblade.
You know, Xenoblade, yeah, that wasn't like the biggest seller.
Right.
At all. But
and
it developed such a cult following to where you get to a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or whatever it is, and it's like, you know, top 10 in NPD charts.
Right.
You know, Nintendo is one of the few companies that I think really looks at a game and says, hey, this was moderately successful. We can continue to build on this and do it. You know, and then you look at something like a Days Gone on the place, and not to knock Sony, but that is a very big example of a franchise that did well, that sold well, that sold millions of copies, but it's like, y'all didn't sell enough, so we're not getting a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, how do you sell like 2 million copies and not get a? And I think it was more than that. I'm just kind of throwing something out of my behind by saying a number, but I believe it was more than 2 million copies. And you not get a sequel because it didn't perform to expectations. I'm like,
yeah,
that you still made money off of that game,
right?
Like, unless your production budget was like completely insane, which is from when I hear conversations, what they sold made Sony a profit.
Okay.
So when you have stories like that, and then you have Nintendo on the other end, and again, Splatoon was a brand new IP with the Wii U, brand new IP. But I think also to some degree, the Wii U tanking and not selling as much really allowed them to kind of reintroduce the IP to a newer generation, especially when the Switch took off.
Yeah.
So they had that, and I hate to say luxury, but they took a L and turned into a really big W.
You're right.
In this case, and a lot of gaming companies have not been able to do the, like Sony's always been winning since they started. Even though people talk about the PS3 era and Xbox 360 beat them, it was pretty much neck and neck.
Yeah.
And they took an L based on their hubris and hardware pricing,
right?
Which is what Xbox repeated the next generation.
Right.
but it wasn't so much on the IPs themselves that they've taken L's on and didn't learn how to regroup. Because for most of the bigger companies, IPs didn't sell well. You never saw them again. There are plenty of IPs from the original Xbox generation that you never saw again because they didn't stick.
Right.
I forget that one fighting game that was developed by one of the Mortal Kombat creators. That came out, you never saw it again. There are a whole lot of IPs from that generation that didn't stick, that neither Sony nor Nintendo. Where's another Parappa?
Right.
You know, there are games that are called classic, but we can get, again, NRW Checkpoint, Extra Lives coming soon, because we talk about all these things there.
Right.
But let's get into the trailers. First up, we have Steelrising.
Okay. Wait, this was the one. Okay, yeah. Paris 1749.
I mean, it looks cool.
It does. Okay.
I love the style.
This combat looks pretty cool.
It does. I think them using like automatons and mechanical armies really sets them apart from all the other Soul type games.
Right.
In a really good way. But also using a historical setting as well. I love that sort of, can't even juxtapose that contrast. Yeah, it's definitely a soul type game. There's nothing wrong with that. This looks really cool.
It kind of reminds me of Devil May Cry a little bit.
Yeah.
Combat and the fighting style. But I love Devil May Cry. This might be a purchase. I might need to get this.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Now, my only fear is, or hope, is that all the levels don't take place in the dark.
Because lighting is and I want developers to really understand this. Like, lighting is very, very, very important when it comes to video games, especially action games action games and shooters, because fighting games, they always bright as hell. Right. Action games and shooters, like, we don't need no kind of dark. I understand, the environment, element, and all this other stuff. That's great. But I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Unless I'm just gonna be frustrated and not play your game anymore.
I agree. Like, that looks cool, but the fact that, and again, I hope there's some daylight segments, missions, what have you. But that looks really cool. But I would get really bored if it's always in the dark, because a lot of those textures and even the bosses, while they look different, they look the same. Yeah,
I'm saying, I'm watching, like, nighttime is when people normally go to sleep. Why you want me to play a whole game at night? Like, just brighten it up a little bit. I don't want to have to adjust no settings on my TV or my console or nothing like that. Just make a game that I could see when I'm playing it.
Right.
But other than that, this looks good.
Yeah, it does.
I'm thinking I'm interested in it.
Next up, let's move to our lone JRPG for the week. We've had a lot in the past couple weeks, months.
Yeah, that's why this the only one that wrestling came out.
Right, exactly. And let's tackle Jack Move. Well, let's move like Jack does, I guess.
I hope they stealing cars in this game.
I have a real bad feeling about this. Gotta hurry.
I think I picked the animated trailer.
I knew something was wrong the moment I saw that woman.
Okay, so
they were searching for something in my father's house.
Okay.
So Jack is a girl.
Did they take him?
I guess so.
Did they find what they were looking for?
Or maybe her dad's name was Jack. Or did she just say her name was Jack?
Looks like everything here is untouched. I will find you.
Oh.
Okay, forget the game. I get a series or a movie with this piece.
Right.
I would watch this.
Is it anime? What to do?
See ya.
Okay, that's some gameplay. That was cool.
Yeah. This was turn-based, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm digging this.
Yeah,
I am so digging this. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out when it comes out on the 20th for consoles. Yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's go from Jack Move to the Tomorrow Children Phoenix Edition.
Gotta figure out. Okay, it said it come out on the 8th. I think I'm gonna get that game. I like that. Welcome to the Void.
So we're in like Russia or something.
Is this like a satire game? What is this? Environment of this game, very, very interesting.
Yeah,
like
I'm not sure.
Right, I'm like, I've never seen a game like this.
Right.
Like, build your own world. Damn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It didn't burn down.
That's how you do. All right, great.
Oh, so you really do anything you want to do in this game. That's what they're saying.
Now, this looks, we always talk about unique, and even though it came out in 2017 originally, this looks very unique and interesting.
It does. I was feeling like a little Minecraft kind of vibes earlier, but then when it kind of shifted and like Godzilla's brother came through stomping around, I was like, oh, this is different. So when did this game come out? It said 2017. And
apparently it was only out for 6 months or something like that. And it was I didn't get the whole story when I was doing my research for the show.
It was only out for 6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like this game would do well.
Yeah. I think it's probably one of those games that came out wrong time and they were able to go back to it and kind of remaster it and bring it out for current systems. Well, 2017 still would have put it at the PlayStation 4 era.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows about it? So, but it looks very interesting and unique. I hope it does well, because I really like games like this to really succeed and do well, so that we get more developers taking risks.
Agreed.
All right, and that's it. No, that's it for that one. Next up is our Pokemon
Temtem.
I want to say competitor inspired game of Temtem.
Pokemon right there. Right for Temtem 1.0. Okay, play with your friends.
It's that same sort of pseudo cell shaded art style as
yeah. Oh, man, cards. Okay. There's co-opness. That's different.
Fishing.
Right. Well, they be fishing in Pokemon.
I mean, it looks cool.
It does. Yeah, this is this is a direct attack on Pokemon.
It looks almost like a cross between Pokemon and Animal Crossing to some degree.
Yeah, and a little bit of Digimon in there as well.
Yeah.
So I like this game. I like what I saw.
Definitely perfect for the Switch crowd. And I think, honestly, if you're somebody who owns a console that isn't Nintendo and you want to play Pokemon, this is probably your best substitute based on what we see and all the things I've heard over the past year or so.
Yeah. And on top of that, I can kind of see a strategy here, because with Temtem, they're able to do things that are like less predictable with the story. Because, you know, Pokemon has its anime and manga and stuff that the games do their best to not necessarily follow, but be companions to.
Right.
So I don't know if Temtem has, you know, mangas and anime and stuff, but if they don't, then that would leave a lot of room for like world building and stuff with this game. So I think that would be pretty cool.
So you already got that live service element to it as well.
Oh yes. The co-op, that's great.
Yeah.
Because if Pokemon had a co-op mode, or just a game that was centered around co-op, not necessarily centered, but like heavily influenced, I think it would be a reinvigorator for the brand, even though Pokemon doesn't need any reinvigoration. If they want to try something new, do a co-op thing, because that with Temtem, that looks pretty cool. It reminds me of what's the game? Monster Hunter 2, having that there.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's cool. So that's it for this week's trailers. Brian, what do you have coming up this week?
This week, putting out an episode, a lot of TV, a lot of music since the last time I actually put an episode out. So we're gonna be focusing mostly on that.
That's why you're on break.
Yeah, I needed to. So I'm working out some other things in my personal life. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, it's coming, but that and then this. What am I doing? This is where we are right now, and that's coming out this week also.
Awesome.
That's it.
That's cool. That's cool. I have no idea what's coming up for this week's Toyo and Geek podcast or website. I know this week though, episode 125, entitled "They Twerking." if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. We're talking Phoenix Rising is one. I talked about this a little while ago. It's on Game Pass. Also talking about The Lies of P. Trailer came out for that game, and that is a dark take on Pinocchio. This is like the year of Pinocchio for some reason.
Oh yeah, Pinocchio's had a rare resurgence this entire year, but I'm not mad. Pinocchio's
I'm not mad either.
Disney characters that have had a place, and they definitely need another resurgence. Right. So yeah,
exactly. Talking comics, Star Trek, fragrances. You know the deal if you stop in on this Toy and Geek podcast by WebsterStyle. But you are with the Nerds Rule the World. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the NRW. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at New Release Wednesday. Of course, you are currently on YouTube, so make sure you like, share, and of course, subscribe.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Do what he said.